Hi, I'm Valtteri Bottas, and you're listening to Beyond the Grid.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Grid, presented by the new Bose noise-cancelling headphones 700. I'm Tom Clarkson, and joining me this week is a current Grand Prix winner, and he's also a driver with one of the most difficult jobs in motorsport because he's Lewis Hamilton's teammate at Mercedes. I'm talking, of course, about Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri's been in Formula One since 2013 when he made his debut with Williams. He moved to the Silver Arrows in 2017 and he's currently enjoying his best F1 season to date. Up to and including the Russian Grand Prix, he's had 4 pole positions this year, which is as many as Hamilton, and he's taken 2 victories. But as well as being super quick, Valtteri's also one of the sport's good guys. He's a straight talker, he's fiercely competitive, and he has the respect of Lewis Hamilton. Outside of the racetrack, he's a family man and he loves nature. If you follow him on social media, you'll know that he loves to head back to his sleepy hometown of Nastala in Finland to unwind and reset whenever he can. So sit back and enjoy hearing from Valtteri as he discusses everything from F1 to ice hockey, Dalmatians to beards, and we've also got the origin of the porridge story for you. Well, Valtteri, welcome to the show. Moi.
Moi. Thank you.
I'm afraid that's where it ends, my finish, but it means hi, doesn't it?
It does. And actually, bye means moi moi.
So hello is moi,
yeah,
and bye is moi moi.
Easy.
That is quite easy. There we go. I've just learnt another expression. But anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So it is the Tuesday after the Singapore Grand Prix in Brackley, rainy day in England. You're off to Russia tomorrow. It's a crazy schedule you guys live by at the minute, isn't it? Just how tiring do you find this time of year with all the flyaway races?
For sure, the last part of the season normally gets a bit tiring. You know, it starts to be already long season behind, even though with the August break. But now it really the more difficult part starts. You know, we start traveling long haul. You know, adding up jet lags here and there. Pretty much traveling around the world the rest of the year. So. Yeah, for sure, the workload, everything kind of builds up a bit. And now, it's a good example. It's back-to-back race and come to the factory in between to analyze everything from the last race with the engineers. And we do work sometimes. We don't only drive the cars.
What's your strategy on a plane? Are you a good sleeper? Do you watch films? Do you listen to music? Do you listen to Beyond the Grid? What's your strategy?
Haven't listened to Beyond the Grid, actually, I have to admit. But on long hauls, it's nice to always look at the movies. But, you know, the thing is, with the amount we travel, normally it's pretty much same movies, in all the planes. So, but yeah, movies, sometimes music, and obviously try to time some of the flights that you can sleep. So sleeping schedule already going into the location is always quite important. So I tend to prefer long haul flights when I can actually spend the flight sleeping. So
easy peasy. Well, look, let's talk 2019. How do you sum up the year so far?
It's quite difficult to put example into one sentence or one word. It started off obviously very strong with a win in Australia, and also early on in the season leading the championship. Things kind of slipped away a little bit before the August break. Had a couple of unlucky races and for sure made a couple of mistakes from my side as well. And Lewis been consistently performing well, so he's kind of escaped slightly on the points, but. The pace is good, and qualifying's been one of my strong part this season. Although I haven't took a pole position for a while, which hopefully I'll get soon. And I've been able to improve quite a lot from last year in terms of pure race pace. So that's a positive. And
Valtteri, tell us about that, because 2018 was a difficult year. Obviously, you should have won in Russia, but the stats will tell you that it was no wins. How did you bounce back from that? What did you do last winter? I felt there was a new fiery Valtteri when we turned up in Melbourne in March.
It was a tough year, and it was, as a driver, it's difficult to accept, that season goes so badly and so much under your own expectations. I always try to set a bar very high for myself and always pretty self-critical on everything. So it was tricky to accept, and end of last year, I was pretty angry to myself that, first of all, I was in that situation by the end of the year that I had no chance for the championship. So then I had to be bit more on a supportive role. And so I was angry for myself for sure to be in that situation. And then the long end of the season just continued to go pretty badly, and some unlucky moments as well, and just lost maybe a bit kind of the fun side in driving and in competing. So just had to make a proper reset in the winter, and I managed to disconnect really well. So since I got to the holidays, like mid-December, I had many weeks of completely trying to do different things than Formula One and think about different things. So didn't really think about the sport at all.
And were you successful with that? How easy is it to switch off?
Actually, it was pretty easy because I was pretty in negative mindset about everything involved in Formula One. I was a bit pissed off about the sport, the whole thing.
But I mean, how seriously? How annoyed? I mean, to the extent were you questioning your future in the sport? I mean, I don't know. I'm just...
well, when you're at your low, you're always thinking all kinds of things. And for sure, sometimes it was in my mind, what's the point doing this? Why? If I don't enjoy it, things like this. But I also knew myself, okay, I'm mentally tired about the season, and for sure disappointed because it didn't go well. But always I knew that, with time, it will come. And come early January, it was like a switch. I found the inner strength in me, and I decided that, now, it's now or never. I still have time, and I'm never going to give up on my dream that I have set to myself since a kid. And, I try again and try harder.
How helpful has your wife, Emilia, been in that process? Because she's a competitor in her own right. Swimmer, butterfly, am I right?
Correct.
But I mean, she understands the pressures of being a professional sports person. How did that help you sort of reset?
Well, for sure, athlete knows another athlete and what goes through your mind very well. So for sure, very, very, very helpful and very supportive. But I'm lucky, I have such a nice family and very good close friends that I can talk anything about. So, and also felt like I had the team also as a support. So I felt like I had lots of support. But I definitely needed some alone time as well, to really disconnect and switch off and to gather my thoughts. And I always knew it is in me that I'm going to find the motivation again. And I really managed to find the kind of enjoyment back in the sport and driving, and I could see and feel it in the results.
Well, you won 2 of the opening 4 races, didn't you? But how suffocating is it being Lewis Hamilton's teammate?
It takes a lot of energy. Lewis is very rarely having difficult weekends. He's always on form. He's still learning as a driver. He's still improving year by year, race by race, like everyone is aiming to. And it requires me to be at my absolute best level to beat him. So for sure that takes a lot of energy mentally. And kind of for me, the process of trying to get better, trying to work hard, trying to improve myself on all the areas that requires work. And for sure it's not easy, but I don't like anything easy in this world,
I mean, Valtteri, he's got form in that he kind of broke Heikki Kovalainen when they were together at McLaren. Fernando Alonso walked away from him. Nico Rosberg did the same. I mean, he's got form, hasn't he? He really does batter his teammates, it would seem.
Yeah, I can understand. He's won so much in Formula One. Lewis is probably one of the greatest ever in the sport. If you look at the results, and I think it is a fact. But I've also proved to myself that I can beat him. But how to do that more consistently and over the season, that's the tricky part. But it's possible. But for sure, he's not going to make me to leave anywhere because I would get an easier teammate to deal with. No way. So I think it's a good opportunity for me as well to get better, and I like good targets to try and get to, and Lewis is one of those.
And I guess you can learn off him as well.
For sure.
Now, it seems from the outside that when you're not driving, you get on well. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, that is fair comment. We can really work as a team because we have good respect both ways, and we know that if we can work as a team, it's going to benefit both of us because it's going to aid our performance as a team and help the car development and everything, and the team spirit as well in the whole team. So we know that's how it works. And still, when we put the helmets on, we know that it's go time, and we hate losing, and we are going to be fighting hard.
Is he funny?
Yeah, he can be funny. Good sense of humor.
Do you do practical jokes on each other or anything like that?
Not that much, no. Just bit of teasing at times, but yeah.
I'm fascinated to know where he's different to the other teammates you've had. So, Williams, you had Pastor Maldonado as your first teammate, then Felipe Massa. How is Lewis different to those guys, both in and out of the car?
Well, in the car, he's for sure the best teammate I've had.
Is he just better in every area of driving a racing car, or is it one particular
compared
strength?
to the teammates I've had so far? Yes, but he's also a hard worker. Even though it might seem that he always goes to different kind of events and things between the races, but he also does spend time with the engineers and at the factory like I do. So I think he's realized that everyone else is working hard, so he needs to as well. But yeah, for me, by far the best teammate I've had so far. Although Pastor was quick in his day, and yeah, with Felipe, same thing, and learned a lot from Felipe as well.
And what about Toto Wolff, team boss here at Mercedes? He's charming, he's charismatic, but there's a steely edge to him, is that right?
That is correct. He tends to be quite critical to the people he cares and very honest. So he's not afraid of saying if he thinks, some things I could have done better or I need to do better. He always talks out loud about those, which I like. There's nothing ever going like behind the back or anything. It's very straightforward, very honest feedback.
Equally, when you have a race like Singapore, where you were told over the radio to put the brakes on a little bit so that Lewis could hop out into the traffic ahead of you, are you straight with him back the other way?
Yeah, for sure. He knows that I didn't like it, and we had good talks and meetings about that, and yeah, we can be both ways, very straightforward. Yeah.
How often do you speak to Toto?
Well, for sure, we see obviously every race weekend, and when I'm at the factory, and sometimes on the phone. So I think every week, pretty much, somehow we get in contact.
How integral is he to the success of this team?
I think very. He's a great leader. Big team like this needs the right leader and the right way of leading, to be able to make a huge team, to synchronize and to really work as a team and work for those targets together. It needs absolutely someone like Toto.
And I'm going to ask you the same question about him that I asked about Lewis. Is there a funny side to Toto?
There is a funny side to Toto. We've made many good jokes, and we have good fun stories from the past as well. So,
of course, you've known him for years, haven't you? Because he used to be your manager.
Indeed. So yeah, Toto was one of the managers I got in 2008 to help in my career. So he's been, I've known him for a long time.
And what is the business relationship now? Is he still your manager?
Toto is purely my boss now. Since I joined Mercedes and when the discussion started, he obviously went off from the management. Obviously wouldn't really be correct for him to be my manager and a boss at the same time. So there's no ties on that side. So now he's purely the evil guy. It's not maybe the right word, but also at the same time,
Dr. Evil. I like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, the supporter and the one who's pushing you forward.
Have you sensed any change in Toto since Nicky tragically passed away? Do you feel he's had to take on more since Nicky's no longer a part of the team?
For sure he has. Nicky had a huge role in this team and a big job. And for sure there's been many people, trying to fill that, and it never can't be filled, Nicky. But for sure more workload for Toto, and for sure in everything you can see from many team personnel that he's very, very much missed.
Another straight talker as well. Actually, it's these Austrians, isn't it?
Exactly. It must be.
Yeah. More from Bottas in just a moment. But first, here's something else to amaze your ears. If you're a keen listener and you've been paying close attention, then you'll know that Bose has continued their relentless pursuit of innovation to bring you something brand new. The Bose noise-cancelling headphones 700. Smart headphones that let you keep your head up to the world with easy access to voice assistants. Because we're all too often stuck with our head in our phones, searching maps, checking messages and schedules. Well, Bose noise-cancelling headphones 700 allow you to do all of that hands-free, as well as confidently take a phone call with the most powerful microphone system for voice pickup, even in busy and noisy environments. The new design is available in black or silver and incorporates intuitive touch controls so you can easily change the volume for your latest playlist, for phone calls, or for just catching up on some F1 team radio clips. You can do all of that and much more as you enjoy Bose's world-renowned and adaptable noise-cancelling technology across 20 hours of battery life. But of course, the coolest feature these headphones have is that they include Bose AR, a first-of-its-kind audio augmented reality platform that makes astonishing new audio experiences possible. So make sure your head's up, hands-free, and your ears amazed with the brand new Bose noise-cancelling headphones 700. But for now, let's get our heads back into the interview. Let's talk a little bit more about Valtteri. How does the reality of being a Formula One driver compared to the dream that 6-year-old Valtteri had?
If I'm very honest, it's quite far off.
What did you think? What was your vision all those years ago?
My vision was just racing the car. Racing the car, driving lots. No politics involved. Just pure racing. Enjoying all smiles. Traveling places, driving. I always knew competition is going to be tough, but I love competition. But then obviously, once you get into this sport and you realize, it is a big business as well. There's lots of things involved in terms of politics, and in the end, drivers, we are also like a buttons that someone plays with. If you look at the big picture like this.
Patrick Head used to call you guys light bulbs.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can unplug one and put another one in.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you feel? Do you? Is job security sometimes, a bit of an issue? Is that we're talking about politics and light bulbs and, the security? Is there less security in Formula One than perhaps you thought there might be?
Well, I always knew it's super competitive, and there's always going to be drivers that want to be at the top seats and get into Formula One. And if you don't perform, you're not going to stay there. So this I kind of understood. But then as a kid, you have no idea actually how busy you are going to be and how it would kind of change your life in a way that many people recognize your face and whatever comes with that, positive and negative things. So you just have no idea about those. But still, for sure, I'm living the dream. As a kid, I dreamed of being a Formula One driver and one day being a champion. So I'm still chasing that. And that's the only thing I care about. The rest comes with it, and I'm fine with that.
You say you're constantly on the road. How many nights a year are you in a hotel?
In a hotel, I haven't counted, but I'm home less than 100 days a year. So, so
quite fluid, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're in Monaco?
Yes.
Here we are. I've got a stat for you. Nastola,
yes,
where you're from in Finland, has 45 people per square kilometre. Monaco has 19,000.
It's a nice contrast, isn't it?
No, is that? Do you enjoy that contrast?
I like it. It's great. I like it. I have a beautiful lake house in Nastola, in quietness, in the nature, which I really enjoy. And then I have this place in Monaco, which is obviously is a beautiful place as well, but in a different way. A bit more people, a bit more noise, so on. But in other hand, very beautiful as well. And from Formula One world, from Formula One paddock, having those kind of contrasts is nice. To go to Monaco or sometimes visit Finland is pretty cool.
So your upbringing in Finland was a rural one rather than a urban one. In the countryside?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, by the lake.
So where you have your house now is where you grew up?
Indeed, in Nastola.
In Nastola,
yes.
Where you have
all the memories
duathlon,
from childhood. Yeah, exactly.
The kart track where you started out?
Yeah, everything is close by.
Now, the dog. You haven't got kids yet, so you've got yourself a dog.
Mm-hmm.
First step.
Yeah.
The family man. It's a Dalmatian. What do you call it?
It's called Fanni, so Fanni. It's a Finnish name.
Okay. And Have you ever counted the number of spots?
Yeah, many people ask that actually. Never.
You haven't?
There's too many. There's even some, under the, how do you call it in English?
Under the tummy? No.
Also there, but also in like a...
The skin?
No, the hand. What's the hand?
The paw?
The paw.
Oh, really? Did you know that Dalmatians are born white?
Yes, I know.
You did know that?
Yeah. They're good dogs, very good for running.
Well, I was going to say, why a Dalmatian?
It's active, I love sports and I love outdoors myself a lot. So to be able to go for long walks and even for long runs with the dog is nice, and so much energy, so much character, and he's a nice buddy, nice friend to have to come to when I go to
there's
Finland.
An expression in English where they say a dog is like its owner. Right?
I don't have any spots.
No, you don't. But I was thinking, Valtteri, you're so determined and you're physically strong. I don't know, I'd have thought maybe a bulldog or a...
Yeah.
In fact, has Fanny met Lewis's dogs, Roscoe and Coco?
No, actually they haven't, no, not yet.
Is your dog modelling in the way that Roscoe is now? I remember Lewis telling me that I think Roscoe gets $800 a day.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Are you tempted?
You have to think about it. Actually, it's been in some photo shoots, but not like properly modeling. I try to keep her out of the...
Where does she live, in Monaco?
Celebrity life, so give her a normal life,
Yeah, Dad, take the cameras away, Dad.
Exactly, yeah.
Does she live in Monaco with you?
No. Fanny is based in Finland. Yeah.
Okay.
It's I think it's a good place for a dog.
Now, if you hadn't been a racing driver, what direction would your life have taken, do you think?
Some other sport, for sure. I just love competition. I love sports. When I was a kid, when I started go-karting, I started racing, I was 6 years old. And obviously in Finland, we have proper winters, so we could only drive the summer months. But in the winter, I obviously had to do something as well because I liked to be active. So I played ice hockey in a team for 10 years, actually.
The Lahti Pelicans?
Yes, the junior team of this one, actually, yes. And I really enjoyed that sport. I still love it when I get to play, with my friends. And so,
but do you think if you'd worked at it, you would have been good enough to go professional?
Who knows? It's obviously a very competitive sport as well. But I think in my age group, I was good. And if I would have just done that only and invested my time and effort for that sport like I did for go-karting and racing, who knows? But, it's tricky to say, but I feel if there's a will, there's always a way.
Do you think, Formula One is a team sport, of course it is, but there's only two drivers. You're the sort of tip of the iceberg, aren't you? Do you think you would have enjoyed the team aspect of ice hockey?
I think so. It's very different sport in that way because, you're there with many team members on the playing field, let's say. But what I learned from ice hockey is actually about the team spirit. I learned so much. When you get that team spirit up, you can see the results immediately at that point. In F1, it's maybe slightly slower process. When you get the team spirit up, together at the factory, everyone can, start being more creative and, pushing for the upgrades in the future. But in that sport, it is so nice that if the mood goes down or up, you can see it immediately happening and how big effect it does actually, So if everyone gives even 1% more when it's a big team, that makes massive difference.
Ice hockey looks so aggressive.
It is. It's cool. Yeah,
it's cool. It's smashing into someone.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people think it's only fighting, but no, it's a very nice skill sport for sure, physical as well. So yeah, I liked it.
And I guess a lot of the good Finnish players end up playing in North America, do they?
Indeed, and in NHL. And actually Finland been pretty good normally in hockey, and still also the young team of Finland is strong. So hopefully many more success to come.
Now, look, what about the biggest influences on your career? Who have they been?
Well, for sure, with the help without my parents wouldn't be here.
Was your dad a racer?
I've been the first in our family, the whole family that ever did any kind of racing.
So why did you end up on a kart? Because it seems to me a lot of dads are sort of almost living their lives vicariously through their children, putting them on karts and doing all the things that they weren't perhaps able to do. But that wasn't the case with you.
No, it was actually by accident. Went to a town. We had to go to shops or something with my dad, and then there was a sign for a go-kart race. That there was a Finnish championship race in Lahti, Finland, just next to Nastala. So went to watch that. I was 5 years old, and I thought it was really cool. I got really excited, and my dad said to that date in my life, it was the first time I've sit still for a few hours, actually, because I was super active as a kid. And I just, after that, every day I asked, can I go and try? Can I go and try? We tried to, but I was too small still to fit any of the karts.
Couldn't reach the pedals.
Exactly. And you know what then happened? Obviously, I was super disappointed, but my granddad told me that, okay, winter is coming. It's not going to be this year. If you eat porridge every single morning, you're going to grow and fit into one of the karts for sure. So every morning during the whole winter, I insisted my parents to make me a porridge in the morning, and I had it, the whole bowl, every morning. And next spring, when the snow melted, we went back. I was bigger, I fit in the kart, and it was love at first sight for the sport.
What a great story.
Exactly.
That's where your love of porridge came from.
Indeed. Not many people know that, so here you go.
That's a great story. So it came from your granddad?
Yep.
And you've carried on eating porridge ever since?
Exactly. But I'm not growing anymore, so...
Are you a water or milk in your porridge?
Normally water. I can do with milk, but normally water, yeah.
And is there a Finnish twist? Is it just...
I like some good forest berries, like, blueberries and raspberries, maybe wild strawberries, things like this. Some good seeds, maybe a bit of honey or maybe some peanut butters or things like this.
Peanut butter in your porridge?
No, not like a proper peanut, like almond butter or cashew. It's a bit smoother,
And it always has to be warm?
The porridge?
Yep.
Yeah, I have it warm.
Even in a hot summer's day in Monaco, warm porridge?
Yep.
There you go, folks. That's the story of the porridge. While we're talking about little Bottas isms, the beard's still there.
Yeah, it's going to stay. I like it.
What does Amelia think of it?
I think she's happy about it. No complaints so far. So
no complaints?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I wanted to ask you about Mika Häkkinen, because a couple of years ago, he came to your duathlon that you have.
Yeah, actually last year, yeah.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
How much of a supporter has Mika been? Any advice he's given you?
For sure, yeah. When I was a kid, he was my hero. I started go-karting racing in '96, and he won his first race in '97. I saw that, obviously. He won his first title in '98, second one '99. So for me, he was the guy that, wow, this is what I want to be one day. So for sure, that motivated me massively. And then Mika, also in 2008, became one of my managers, which obviously at the time was super exciting.
That's quite nice. Having your hero managing.
Exactly. So it was pretty random phone call, just a number I didn't know. It was Mika. He said he wants to meet and talk about my future. I said, all right, sounds good.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's been a big help for sure. And he still is part of my management.
Help in a business sense, or help more from a sort of driving sportsman point of view?
In anything. He obviously knows a few things about driving, but also business and life in general, whatever involves Formula One and life, can talk with him about. And I think best advice from Mika is he kept saying in younger categories that just trust my driving ability, never lose that trust, and that you can do it, because it's such a fine, detailed sport that if you lose the confidence on your own doing what you're doing in the car, then it becomes a bit messy. So very simple advice, but works.
Also, I remember Mika telling me once that James Hunt was an early advisor for him when he was starting out in Formula One. And James Hunt said to him, Mika, always love what you do.
Indeed. And I've noticed it myself in Formula One. Whenever I enjoy it, and really enjoy it, I can see it in the lap time. So that's how it goes with everything you do.
Is it one of those sports, Valtteri, where do you almost know from the moment you wake up what kind of day you're going to have?
No, because obviously there's many variables in the sport, many things that can affect how the weekend goes, how the day goes. It's
in terms of your own performance, though.
You can have a feeling, but even though sometimes if you feel that something doesn't feel quite right, whether you have a bit of pain somewhere or something is going through your mind, you can still be able to extract 100% out of yourself when you get in the car and when you get to that flow and the perfect mental state of driving. But then there are some other days that it is easier. You have no worries, everything's fine, all smiles, and everything feels so easy in the car. So would be wrong if you don't feel good in the morning to kind of give up on the day. So you always try your best, but it is a funny sport. But it's the same with anything. I think you do any sport for sure, and whatever you do, when you do it flat out, when you have big goals, it's sometimes quite tricky to keep enjoying it and keep the nice, relaxed approach about it, and that way you perform better.
Is relaxation key?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
so
definitely.
Like before a race, before quali, it's that sort of relaxed concentration that...
For me, it's been always important.
And an espresso in your case?
Always. That's important, But yeah, for me, getting a moment on my own before the qualifying, before the race, I really need it because it's pretty full-on weekend always and lots of people around. And I think we Finns, we like to be sometimes alone as well. So it's nice to have that quiet moment is to gather your thoughts and just chill.
We'll get back to Bottas in just a moment, but first this. We all know that the greatest Formula One drivers in the world can make the most difficult race look easy. But what really happened? Did they take the safest option, or did they outsmart their opponents because they risked everything? Well, Amazon Web Services has the answer. F1 uses AWS to create critical race performance statistics, make race predictions, and give fans insight into the split-second decisions made by teams and drivers. Now F1 can pinpoint how a driver is performing and share these insights over television and digital platforms all over the world. The pit strategy battle function shows the predicted gap between drivers after pit stops and analyzes how successful each driver's strategy will be, while the battle forecast lets you delve into the developing driver battles during the race, heightening the racing experience for you, the fans. So, was Charles Leclerc going to pass Sebastian Vettel at the first pit stop in the Russian Grand Prix? Would Lewis Hamilton take the lead under the virtual safety car in Sochi? AWS had all of the answers. F1 isn't the only company using AWS. If your business needs cloud services, artificial intelligence, machine learning, or other functionality, then AWS can help your business transform for the future. So next time you're watching your favorite F1 driver and wondering how they get all those awesome insights, just remember, AWS is how. Find out more at aws.com/F1 Insights. That's aws.com/F1 Insights. Let's get back to the interview. You said a minute ago, sometimes you might have a bit of pain, which reminded me of, I almost said Adelaide, Melbourne, when you were at Williams. Melbourne
2015?
15, wasn't it? When you did quali and then didn't do the race because of back pain. Do you suffer from any back pain now? Can you just talk us through the story of what happened that weekend?
Yeah, so I had a tear or an injured disc that kind of popped in the qualifying over the bump in Melbourne after the high-speed chicane. There's the back straight and the braking into the last sector. Just I could feel and hear like something popping. Then I was surprised because I couldn't press the brake hard enough. And then I realized that, okay, something's wrong. Then I got the pain on my lower back, and obviously, then you lose a bit of strength in the leg because of the nerves, and it was tough. It was painful. I tried to race. I was in all kinds of legal painkillers possible, but I couldn't do the jump out test of the car properly. So they didn't let me race.
Was that an old injury?
No, it never disturbed me before. Never was an issue. We could see, we always do health checkups, and we could see, okay, one of the discs is a bit unhealthy, but stable condition. Yeah. But stable condition and should be all good. But before that, we had the 2014, which was kind of the year of weight loss for the drivers in F1, and I lost quite a bit of supportive muscles around that area. So I was at my lightest at that point, and that didn't help. So. But then recovered, raced again in Malaysia with a good race, and it took quite a while. Many times it's been reminding me, the back pain in different positions and so on. Sometimes you feel it, but for a long time it's not been disturbing in the car at all, and just trying to keep those muscles around very strong. But you know what? The funny thing, when I had the crash in practice in Austria this year, it was a pretty big one. I think probably like the hardest hit I've had, and it was like straight on. When the hits happened in the wall, I had like big spike of back pain in that same area. So initially I thought like, oh, did I damage something? But then it was just that very short moment of pain and nothing. And since then, I've not had a single feeling of pain in my back. So maybe something cracked open. So maybe it was meant to be,
Even after a race like Singapore on Sunday, when
nothing
you bumpy
since,
track,
I feel like my back is perfect. So.
I'm interested on the weight thing. How much heavier are you now compared to 2014? Or is that a secret?
No, I think my pure like body weight has been maybe at my lowest I was 4 or 5 kilos less than now. But compared to the last year and year before this year, I'm 2 kilos more, because we are allowed to with a new regulation, which I think is very good.
And you think this is your fighting weight where you are now?
This is my natural weight now. First time in my Formula 1 career. And for sure it helps. And can't remember last time I was sick. And previously I would get sick very easily.
And I suppose it's the same for all the drivers.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Because of it's now included in the...
Exactly.
So you're the 5th Finn to win an F1 race after... I was going to ask you to name them, but of course you know who they are. But for people at home, Keke Rosberg, Mika Häkkinen, Kimi Räikkönen and Heikki Kovalainen. What is it about you Finns?
Good question. Maybe we're a
porridge.
Porridge, maybe.
Beards.
And maybe a bit crazy. I don't know. I think we're pretty mentally, how we are. I think it's good for this sport. We don't mind being kind of alone in the car. We don't mind being under pressure. That's is a skill you need to be a Formula 1 driver. And then obviously there's other things that maybe someone could talk better. I don't know if it comes from your genes about car control, whatever. We drive in pretty slippery roads in Finland. I don't know if that makes a difference, but only like good explanation I always tell is a motorsport country. So it's very popular in Finland to do all kinds of motorsports, and that means the level of competition from a young age is high. And, in go-karts, doing Finnish championship, if you were in top 3 and you went to race European championships or anywhere in Europe, you would always be fighting in top 5 then. So the level was very good. So you really had to make an effort as a kid to be able to do good results in Finland. So that helped and pushed me to work hard for it early on. So I think that made a big difference.
And why racing as opposed to rallying for you?
For me, it was always about Formula 1. And since I tried that go-kart, everything was about Formula 1 and track racing, and I just love the feeling of racing other cars around. And but rally is still good fun.
Well, you've done a bit recently.
Yeah, it just actually started in January. I did this Arctic Lapland rally, my first rally ever, and immediately with WRC car. And that was fun experience.
They're quick, aren't they?
They're pretty quick, yeah. Yeah, they are. Especially if you look at it that way, that you're going between the trees and between snowbanks and a bit of jumps and stuff is pretty cool.
How quickly did you adapt to a rally car?
I think quite quickly. I did a few test days before and straight into the rally, became 5th, won one stage. So I think, and made it to the finish, didn't shunt it. So that was good. And now I just do it sometimes for fun. I do some test days here and there, also for fun, but also for training purposes, because I think for driving anything is always good and beneficial.
Does it help you improve as a driver, the rallying?
I believe so. For me, it works. I believe, like I said, driving anything, I think is always good for your skills and, coordination, reactions, developing your instincts, and car feel is always a benefit. And another way for me to switch my mind off Formula 1.
Robert Kubica said that he thinks he's a better driver in the wet as a result of his rallying experience. Would you agree with that?
Could be. We haven't really raced in the wet that much this year.
No, we haven't actually.
Yeah, exactly. So looking forward to that.
The thing is, though, Formula 1 is all about precision Am I wrong to say that rallying seems a little less precise? Is it as precise, the driving?
It's difficult to compare. Obviously, it's much more instinct-based, and you're driving from the notes, and in Formula One, you're driving around the same circuit, so it becomes much more detailed, and all the margins, they're smaller, gaps are less. But in rally, it's a bit more freestyling, and you always kind of need to leave a bit of margin. You can't go 100% committed to every corner if you don't know it. That's not how it goes. So it's a very different sport, which I would like to learn a bit more someday in the future.
Toto completely relaxed about you rallying?
Yeah, I think I showed him one onboard video of pretty quick stage I did. That's the only time I saw his face. He was like, oh, that's pretty quick.
Of course, he did that.
Yeah, exactly. Why he knows, why he lets me to do it for fun. He knows exactly how much fun it can be.
Yeah. Do you think Frank Williams would have let you rally?
Honestly, I doubt. It's a bit more. At Mercedes, it's a tiny bit more relaxed in that sense that what we can do. We can do lots of things. And I think that is thanks to Lewis, because Lewis does lots of things in other extreme sports and tries out new things. And I think Toto as a leader has realized that for us to perform, we need to be happy. Whatever makes us happy is good.
And you think, God, what did Frank stop you doing? Would he let you ski?
No skiing.
Frank wouldn't let you ski. Would Toto let you?
Yeah.
Oh, we say 1-0 to Toto. Okay, what else? Obviously, the ice hockey. I don't know. Well, actually, we haven't talked about Frank, and we should, because he's obviously been a massive influence on you. It was 2010 you first got involved with Williams, wasn't it?
Yes, 2010 became a test driver, and test driver indeed.
And you won the Masters of Formula 3 that year. And
I was doing F3 still in 2010.
Can you remember that first meeting with Frank?
Yeah, I do. I think it was at the end of 2009. They were looking for a new test driver, and kind of been taken on board, to Williams and developing a new driver and perhaps having a new driver for them in the future. That was the plan. There was quite a few drivers actually visited Williams there was like a simulator session, chat with the engineers, and then meeting with Frank. And I remember it was really exciting day, first time at a Formula One factory, and then immediately seeing the pretty big team in Formula One and meeting Frank and everything. So I think he liked me, so they choose me, which was very cool. And I knew now I'm a step closer to my dream, and now it's going to be a lot up to me. If I perform, the door will be open one day, but it's going to be not an easy road ahead, and for sure I need to work hard for that. So forever for Frank, I'll be very thankful that he gave the opportunity to me. He saw the potential in me and the hunger of trying to develop still myself and improve, and that still carries on, but I'm glad he could see it so early on.
Well, in 2012, you did some free practice 1 sessions for Williams, didn't you? And then you get your big break. And I, if Frank was in the room, I'd say what I'm about to say now, but probably one of the worst Williams cars that's...
Yeah, I finished once in the points.
In Austin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was how hard was it to make your step into Formula One in that car?
It's tricky, starting in Formula One, and if you're in a car that will be difficult to prove your skill. Obviously, the team always knows how you perform, but it's not easy, for sure. But what a great learning year for me of tough times that you can have in Formula One. And it was so nice to be part of that big push forward. And, then we really managed to improve the cars. And with the new regulations for 2014, we actually had a really good car and had many podiums. And it was such a contrast. Was nice to be part of that journey. And we were all pushing hard for that. So it was nice.
Austria 2014, all Williams front row. My goodness, you were annoyed after quali though. Because Massa was on pole, wasn't he? And I think, hadn't you made a tiny mistake? I remember just, don't talk to Valtteri. I remember thinking, don't talk to him now, give him a bit of time.
I was annoyed because it was a great chance for my first pole position.
Yeah.
And it was by such a small margin. And I was supposed to be on pole because I remember there was something in my car on the engine side, like a fuel flow meter or something that was performing not as well as Felipe's, and that was enough for the time difference. So yeah,
got your first podium.
Exactly.
That race. Do you think, in hindsight, you could have? Do you think you could have won that race? Done anything different, or do you think the Mercs were too strong?
I think that race, we're not far away from the Mercs, but I don't think we could have won it. And to be honest, for the first time on the podium, I was happy. You know, I was able to then still beat Lewis in the race. No, sorry, Felipe, and to get on the podium for the first time is a memory that I will always carry.
Yeah, it was a great day. Well, look, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I must just quickly ask you about 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think you can still improve as a driver? And have you sort of given yourself an ultimatum that that's got to be the year, or what's the mindset going into next season?
For sure, I look forward to the end of the 19, but honestly, I can't wait for 2020 because I've been able to do those gains every single winter and every single season. I've learned so much. At some point, it has to be time to put it all together and to get to my dream that I've been working for since a kid. So no doubt, 2020, I'm going to put all in, do whatever it takes to achieve it. And I just have a feeling it's going to be an interesting year. You know, lots of different things can happen for 2021. You know, not many drivers have contracts, and it's going to be good fun. But
looks like it's going to be close as well.
For sure, it's going to be. And yeah, obviously, from my side, there's still so many things to work on to improve, which is something I really enjoy about this sport. You're never complete, but especially like race pace and being efficient with the tires. That's kind of the one thing I'm working on, and that's a big goal for me for the end of the year to improve on that. And then I'm a big step closer being the driver I want to be.
Well, Valtteri, good luck with that.
Thank
you for your time. This is a busy week, as we said at the top.
Exactly.
It's, we're quick pit stop in Brackley, but it's been lovely to see you. What do I say? Moi moi.
Moi moi.
Moi moi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valtteri. Good to chat. Isn't Valtteri a great guy? He's so level-headed and honest with himself. He's the kind of person you'd want to go into battle with, and Mercedes clearly feel the same way, which is why he's set for a 4th consecutive season with the team in 2020. And Lewis Hamilton can't rest easy because Valtteri will undoubtedly come back stronger next year. When the flag drops in Abu Dhabi at the end of the season, he'll head back to his rural haven of Nastala, where he'll begin the off-season as he always does, by forgetting about Formula One and recharging his batteries. He'll then work on every area of his game to ensure he makes a step forward in 2020. Thanks for your time, Valtteri. It was great to chat, and thanks as ever to Mercedes for their hospitality. Well, that's it for this episode, but we'll be back next week with another mustn't-miss guest from the world of Formula One. Before we go, I just wanted to say a big thanks for your feedback about last week's episode with Cyril Abiteboul. He's a fascinating character who does things a bit differently to the other team bosses in the pit lane. This was a great episode, says Xavier Romer. I never realised how young Abiteboul still is, and few people realise what a great job he's doing at Renault considering all of the factors. Good job by Tom Clarkson to point out his way of approaching things and how he thinks about everything. Well, thank you, Xavier. Cyril is definitely young and he does think about everything, but I hope he doesn't burn out with all the stress and lack of sleep that he talked about in the podcast. Please keep your feedback coming because we love it. And remember to use the hashtag F1BeyondTheGrid, and you can tweet me at TomClarksonF1. Beyond the Grid is produced by F1 in association with Audio Boom. Until next time, keep it flat out.